Welcome to SoiledPlant. Today we are going to be talking about very popular houseplants out in the houseplant community that I don't like. A little controversial. To adequately prepare for such a sassy video, I have worn my I solemnly swear I am up to no good shirt. I also have tea prepared just for this very occasion, and I also have my computer in front of me with all of my notes, so I have brought my reading glasses. Yes. We are all prepared. This is serious stuff here, clearly. This video is going to be a little bit sassier than normal. I do want to put a minor disclaimer out there. Every plant on this list is a wonderful plant. It is popular for a reason. These are all really cool, interesting, gorgeous plants. There's nothing wrong with any of them. This is all just me having a bit of fun. And these are ones that I personally wouldn't own today. Doesn't mean I won't own them tomorrow. And these are also ones that I've almost purchased in the past, but stopped myself for one reason or another. Just remember, this is all in good fun, including my reading glasses, tea, and solemnly swear I'm up to no good shirt by the author who remain nameless. Also, these plants are in no particular order. It's just how I constructed my list. Without further ado, let's get on with the list. First on the list is one that is very popular. It is very Instagram worthy. It is the Fiddle Leaf Fig. So I understand the want to have a tree in your house. This is my choice of tree, which is my bird paradise. And I think they're really cool when they're big, for sure. It's just, they're so finicky, and their reaction to being under and overwatered is almost the same, and I already have issues with that. I have issues with over and under watering. The last thing I would want is to not be able to tell the difference between the two, because I would probably react the opposite of what most people would react to. I've also heard that these are very bug prone and very fungal prone. I'm also told they don't like to be moved. I like to experiment with where I put things because honestly, that's how I learn. That's how I learn the best situation for plants. I've had plants in north-facing windows that hated it, and then I put them in west-facing windows and they hate it. And it's because it had nothing to do with the window and had everything to do with my watering pattern. So I'm very much still in the beginner to intermediate plant knowledge range. I'm by no means even a novice or an expert at this. So I feel like a Fiddle Leaf Fig would be the recipe for me killing it, just immediately. Bottom line, they're finicky, and it's the type of finicky that I wouldn't know how to deal with or how to handle. Another thing, I have a pretty small apartment. I don't have big open spaces to fill up. While I would love to have a tree in my apartment, I don't really have space for one. Another thing, the leaf shape is weird, guys. It's a little weird. Weird can be cool, weird can be unique. See all Monstera deliciosa varieties, but it's shaped like a bicycle seat. It's not only a bicycle seat, I also see like butternut squash when I look at it, and it's just weird with the veining and everything. I don't know. Like, there are people out there who just love those leaves, love the look of it. For me, the look of it is kind of give or take, but with all the finicky stuff on top of it, it's like, for me, just not gonna do it. Doesn't do it for me. The next one on my countdown is the watermelon peperomia. This one is cute. I will give it that. It is super cute. It's adorable. I love how compact it is and the little leaves and the shape, and they look like little baby watermelons. Like, I get it. I get it, I get it, I get it. I've heard that these are somewhat difficult to keep healthy. I've heard of people who are plant experts who can't quite get the hang of this. Also, when they're not happy, they tend to get leggy. Their leaves start deforming when they're not happy. And the whole point of it being a watermelon peperomia is to have those perfect little circle leaves that are just like so cute you could eat them, right? But if you start getting like these oblong shapes or cuts and slivers in it, the whole illusion is gone. And when it gets all stringy and leggy and it starts getting top heavy and it sags, like, it loses its cute real quick. And I'm not somebody who's going to keep this plant in ideal conditions, so by no means is it going to stay looking cute. It's going to start getting really spread out and weird and awkward looking, which leads me into my next plant, which is the Pylea peperomoides. This is a love it or hate it plant, if I've ever seen one, right? Some people think it's cute and quirky. I just think it's quirky and just goofy. Goofy, goofy, goofy. That's like the word for this whole plant. I don't know if any of you are going to get this reference, but my favorite Baron Berenstain Bears book was called Berenstain Bears and the Truth. In that story, you could probably guess what it's about, but it's about kids break a lamp and they start building this elaborate lie that just keeps building and building to the point where it becomes ridiculous, right? And they invent this bird that came in through the window and knocked the lamp over. At the very end of this lie that they were telling, they have a bird with little tufts of feathers off the top of its head that look just exactly like a Pylea peperomoides. And they look so similar to me that I can't get it out of my head. All I think about is that bird from that book. There's a disconnect, right? It's just something I can't unsee. But when it comes down to it, it's you love it because it's goofy, or you're not into it because it's goofy. The other thing I want to mention is it reproduces like crazy. I don't have enough people to gift these random Pylea peperomoides babies to. I don't have spider plants either because they reproduce so quickly. And I feel there's some disconnect in my brain where I cannot just take the babies off and just not plant them in something. That feels like plant murder almost. So I don't like how quickly it reproduces. I don't like how it reproduces, all of that. No thank you. I feel like I have to burp, but I'm not gonna. The next plant on my list is the Philodendron Birkin. Now, while I get the appeal, and I think it is very pretty, I don't see the appeal in paying a premium for a plant like this. I feel like there's a lot of plants that give off that stripy vibe that are a lot more readily accessible and also have more interesting leaf shapes. I never thought it was worth the price people were charging for them. You know, I don't see it being worth $100, $80. I've seen these in person. In person, they're very subtle. They come across more vibrant in pictures than they do in person, just from my experience with the ones I've seen. The other bit of possible tea is that I've heard that these can revert, and then they kind of revert back to a regular Philodendron Congo, which those plants are great because you can get them for, you know, $10-20 for a decent sized plant. If Birkins were selling for $20, maybe I'd get one, but the cheapest I've ever seen for a pretty small, only slightly variegated plant was $40, and that is just way too steep for a plant of this caliber, in my opinion. Now this next one, I am going to lose a lot of you. If I didn't lose you with the Fiddle Leaf Fig, I am going to lose so many of you with this one, and I apologize ahead of time. This just is not my plant, and it is the Philodendron Pink Princess. I just don't get it. I get why people love pink in plants. I have several plants that have pink on them, but the variegation is so haphazard, and I feel like it doesn't work with this color pink. If it was like a light baby pink, maybe. Just not this like weird neonish pink in speckled patterns that have no rhyme or reason on the plant. It comes down to the combination of this color pink with the variegation style that just doesn't work on the leaf for me. I've seen white princess where it's the same style of variegation, same plant pretty much, but it's white variegation instead of this hot pink color, and I like it so much better. So I think it definitely comes down to this color pink I'm not a fan of with this variegation style. If the variegation was either striped or it was edged in this color, you know, I've seen Calathea rosies where the entire inside is pink and the outside is that dark green. I love those. I think I've figured out, for me, variegation with pink has to be kind of intentional. It has to have a pattern to it. Otherwise, it just looks like someone just dropped paint on a plant, which doesn't look intentional. So I have this Philodendron Black Cardinal with the same growth pattern as a pink princess. And this one's completely cool with me because it's all the same color pretty much, and it only has the new growth points that have kind of the deeper or different coloration. Same thing with Prince of Orange or Macaulay's Folly, I believe it's called. And I have no problem with those. It's just the Pink Princess that just doesn't do it for me. I love all the other ones. I'm honestly ecstatic that the Pink Princess doesn't do it for me, because that's a really expensive plant and it's very sought after, so I'm gonna save a lot of money not buying one of these Pink Princesses. Are you still with me? Have I lost you yet? I've still got 3 more to go. We can do it. It's all right. I think I just lost most of you with that one, but we'll keep chugging along. Next one on the list is the Hoya variegata. Ultimately, with this one, it comes straight down to the variegation style. That little edge on either side with the strip of creamy white, it doesn't look good on it. To my eyeballs, when I'm looking at it, I don't dig that style of variegation, especially on a plant that is this leggy. Like, it looks straight up like a heart. So if I wanted it to be variegated, I would want it to either be rimmed in that white, kind of like a Hoya Crimson Queen, or speckled like an obovata, right? It would look so much cuter. But the way this plant variegates, it has these awkward, thick stripes on the side, which make no sense visually to the rest of the plant. For whatever reason, I have seen the Hoya variegata in person more often than I've seen a Hoya at least with adult plants. I see those little, hearts in soil everywhere. If it was speckled like an obovata, or if it was rimmed like a Crimson Queen, I would like it so much better, and I would probably be all on board for it. The other thing I'm not a big fan of is the growth pattern. They're just so leggy and haphazard in its growth pattern. I've seen pictures of bushy carrii, but that's grown in ideal conditions. Most of the people in their home are not going to have ideal conditions, so it's going to end up being a big stalk with just some awkward hearts coming off of it. And the combination of the two, I don't think they marry well. The awkward stripe with the awkward growth pattern, it just doesn't vibe for me. The regular carrii is okay. I probably would get one if the price was right, but it still has that leggy problem. It just doesn't have that variegation, which that variegation just, it's not my thing. I'll say that. By the way, it's been about 16 weeks since I've been to a hair salon, and I'm getting my hair redone on Saturday. Cannot wait. The next plant I'm going to talk about is a little bit of a left turn. This is going to be the Staghorn Fern. Trust me, with this one, I get it. It is so cool. It looks like you're mounting, antlers on the wall. I get it. It is so cool looking. It's extremely interesting. It's different. It's special. With me, it all comes down to just logistics. I have so many questions about how you would sustain a plant like this. What type of wood can I mount a Staghorn Fern to? Where do I buy or make the plank of wood it needs? How do I attach it? Once it's attached, how do I water it? When I water it, do I then have to hang it back up? Will it get my wall wet? Does it damage drywall? Would I have to leave it in the sink for an hour to drip dry until it's dry enough to be able to be hung so it doesn't damage my wall? All of these things. That's so much to worry and think about. Do you miss them? Do you miss them and it's fine? You get the picture. Love the look. Don't want the hassle. Don't want to deal with the logistics. But I get it. I totally get why other people have these. They're super cool. Not for me. I have saved the best for last. At least what I think is the best for last. The 8th plant on my list. The Monstera Obliqueax. I get the appeal of owning the rarest Monstera on the houseplant market. I get it. The scarcity of it definitely has an appeal all of its own. The Obliqueax requires almost ideal conditions in order to grow well. This plant requires extremely high humidity, like up in the 90s, constantly. It does not tolerate low humidity well. It grows relatively slowly even when you give it ideal conditions. Lastly, it looks like an Adansonii. So much so that there's a "it's never Obliqueax" joke in the houseplant community because people cannot tell the difference between these plants. There are detailed videos out there saying the differences between an Obliqueax and an Adansonii because it's so hard to tell the difference between these two plants. This is a Adansonii wide form. I dig this look. I love having a leaf where there's so many holes in it. It looks so otherworldly, terrestrial, all that kind of stuff. It's so cool. Trust me, I think this is a super awesome plant. And it looks almost identical. I can definitely scratch the itch of having a plant with a lot of cool holes in it that make it look so crazy and terrestrial like this. I can do this with an Adansonii. I don't need an Obliqueax, honestly. If you want an obliqua and you have a narrow form Adansonii and it's not doing the same thing for you, get the wide form. The wide form looks so similar, it's crazy. Who am I kidding? I'm never gonna own an obliqua anyway. Like I was saying at the beginning of this video, all of these plants are really cool and super interesting. They just aren't something that I personally am interested in, so no offense meant if you have these plants or if you desire these plants. This isn't a plant dragging, this isn't a plant doxing. If you have these plants, more power to you. Well, my tea is cold, so this video is officially over. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below. Write a comment. Tell me what is a common house plant that you don't like or one that you just don't understand why everybody's obsessing about. I want to know. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye. I feel like I should scooch so you can see the cat, right? We like the cat? Excellent. I'm trying to drag the pink princess and you're not making it easy, Maggie. Is this outtake worthy? Are you being pretty in my background? I appreciate you.